If these walls could talk, they would tell the story of four 20-something Jews that broke in one day. It wasn't in a hard building to break into. The windows were hanging by threads. One of the doors had popped out of its jam. We had come here seeking a bit of adventure. We were looking for something. And as we entered the building, we realized we had found something more than what we were actually setting out to look for, beyond just adventure. Dust covered everything. The place felt haunted. I felt haunted. I was expecting the stench of pickled herring to rise up from the pews and have ghosts trailing talit flying around, chasing us off at any moment. I looked at Andrew, Aaron, and Mark, and we all had this gleam in our eye, and we knew that we had found what we were looking for. I also remember looking around and thinking, this is not like any synagogue I've ever been in anywhere in this area. Not Brookline, not Newton, not Needham. This must have been like the synagogue that my grandparents and their grandparents prayed in somewhere in Europe. And I also remember thinking, I need a hat and a whip and maybe even Harrison Ford, because this was going to be an adventure. There was a hand-carved eagle on top of a 20-foot carved Aron Kodesh. And as we walked around, our minds started racing. You see, the four of us were entrepreneurs, and we were building our own 20-something Jewish community in the greater Boston area. We were doing Friday night services in our own apartments, and we had run out of space. There's just only so many people you can fit in these Boston places. And so we looked at the Vilna Shul, and we saw opportunity. Because this wasn't, from an entrepreneur's perspective, not just a bigger space, but a space to do programming and a service and dinners and dances and have people meet. And so there was no website on the building, no phone number back then. We had heard from Andrew's dad that there's this abandoned synagogue. We set out, we broke into it. We found a phone number, we called it, and we convinced the group that was managing it at the time to let us run a once-a-month Friday night service, and that it would be good for them. They could fundraise off of this. And crazy enough, they let us do this. 33 people. That's how many people showed up on the first night of Havurah on the Hill at the Vilna Shul. And we had everything planned to a T, and nothing went right. Down to the one bathroom that we had. Us four guys, we thought it would be cool, this unisex bathroom, and like we would do some kind of sharing thing. The women who showed up that day informed us otherwise. And so we had our first fundraising project. Fix the women's bathroom. It took us a little time, but we did it. Before we knew it, we got our programming down. We had amazing speakers behind every Friday night service we did. We had beekeepers for the new year talking about honey. We had escaped slaves. These are slaves that were, somewhere in the world that, through the help of Jesse Sage and the American Anti-Slavery Group had managed to free, and they would speak with us in the week before Passover. Some of these talks still haunt me to this day. I feel shackled by them. Jesse Sage is a dear friend of mine through the community and through the Vilna Shul. He came at my invitation, and he met his wife at one of these services. And before I knew it, he was coming up on the beat, and he was telling people, if you don't know anyone, come find me. I could not help finding satisfaction in what we had built. The New York Times, National Public Radio, the Boston Globe, hell, even Entrepreneur Magazine did stories on what we did and how we did this. Since then, Mark, Andrew, Aaron, myself, we all grew up more. We got older, we got families, we moved away. I'm probably the closest that's still, stone's throw from the Vilna Shul. Everyone else is overseas or on the other side of the country. But we're still all haunted by this. And I know because I talk to them and they always ask, how's the Vilna Shul? We talk about, how a certain slave got us in the mindset for Passover. I am haunted by the Vilna Shul all the time and in the most peculiar ways. And I'll finish with this one story. It has nothing to do with the Vilna Shul except what it created in terms of the community. I now have small children. I'm at a random playground somewhere outside of Boston. My daughter is playing with another girl around her same age. They're running around. It's just me and this girl's parents, and we're making small talk. We kind of run through all the parental, where do you go to school, how old, all this sort of stuff. And just to kind of keep the conversation going, I asked, where are you guys from? I think he was from Chicago, she was from New York, but they met at a service called Havurah at the Hill at the Vilna Shul. And that was their daughter playing with mine. Thank you.